With Bitcoin's bearish divergence playing out exactly as we talked about yesterday, has Bitcoin already bottomed? Or is this the beginning of a much bigger dump? A dump so downright dirty, you'll be begging and squealing for it to stop. Or is it just one more absolutely very big bear trap? Over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin has been showing more and more signs that a teensy-weensy dump is on the way. And as we did initiate a little bit of a dump, are we done? Or in fact, is it the beginning of a somewhat bigger dump for the Bitcoin and most likely stock market? So if you like pumping on in, but also you like getting dumped on, and in fact, maybe a little bit too much, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to FEMEX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Without any further ado, let's absolutely dump on in to these absolutely incredible charts where we see Bitcoin has initiated on the weekly chart. You can see a dump. Now, this is going to be very important for the weekly close in about 2 days that we actually get a close above this price level here, right around 69,000. Otherwise, this could indicate a weekly, a longer time frame downtrend. So this could actually get pushed out, in my opinion, to become a bigger dump here if we don't get a strong weekly close. Now, in the short term, there are a few things to look for. So we did get a dump, and yesterday we discussed coming down to the 21-day moving average right around 65,000, which we actually have not. We came down to about 65.6, 65.5. We didn't quite come down to the 21-day moving average yet. It's still very possible. Now, we talked about this bearish divergence that we saw. Clearly, it's been actually... it's been forming for like the past month, but specifically we really see signs of it picking up right about here. On the daily chart, you also see the MACD has just gotten a bearish cross right here. And we got our first tick into the red on the MACD since all the way back February 26th. So about 2-3 weeks ago, it's our very first indication that, hey, this could turn into a more of a dump. So really, as I've been saying for the past few weeks, like Bitcoin should get a dump here. But I've been saying the only reason we haven't, in my opinion, is because the Bitcoin ETFs have been gobbling up too much Bitcoin and pushing us higher and higher. Now, as I discussed pretty much the entire video yesterday, this is very interesting to me because I want to see Bitcoin get pushed as low as it can go. Because I think of this current move exactly like basically spring-loaded, a lot of pressure being built. And as soon as the dump pushes Bitcoin as low as it can go, boing, right? That's the easiest way for me to say this. Pressure, 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 and then boing. Okay, so we're waiting for the boing. Now, I don't necessarily think we're going to be getting a boing today. I think, as I just said, I think we could actually see further dumpage for this move. Specifically, let's take a look at a few things. So the stock market itself, because that's one thing you have to factor in. The stock market has been printing bearish divergence as well for like a month and a half. The RSI has been diverging away from the price, and the stock market, it just does not look, it looks like it might want to retest some lower levels, maybe even around 5,000 or 5,050. So, not insane, but another maybe percent and a half to the downside, maybe, right? I think that's a realistic outlook for the next 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks for the stock market. But also, we're seeing the DXY finally have a bounce after weeks of getting dumped on. It's having a bounce, and if this gets rejected in this range, that'll be, I think, promising for the stock market and also Bitcoin. So there's a lot of factors to look into. The stock market doesn't look crazy strong right now. The DXY is having a little bit of a bounce, and Bitcoin has just gone straight up for the past couple of weeks. So we needed a pullback anyway, and that's something I've been saying over and over and over again. And just as I talked about, the second we got a couple of percent drop, we're already seeing bears come out again, right? Doomsday predictions again. Bitcoin's going to drop to 30, 40,000 US dollars, right? We're seeing these crazy predictions. I want to talk about exactly how low I think we could go in the worst case scenario. But before we do that, let's take a look at a few things. So Philip Swift saying that funding rates have been high. Last time he mentioned these funding rates, this was posted 12 hours ago, kind of before this dump or around this dump. Price flushed out a lot of the long leverage with a brief pullback. Let's see if this happens again. And also, we do see that a lot of longs did get liquidated. If we look at this chart, lots of longs got liquidated. And we have a lot of shorts up here that every time we've seen a massive piling up of shorts, they've also been liquidated. So are we about to have a boing to the upside to try to get rid of some of those short positions as well. So personally, I want to talk about what I think is going to happen, and then also the lowest I think we could go. So to me, and this all depends because the Bitcoin spot ETFs throw a wrench into everything. They change the dynamic too much. If the Bitcoin spot ETFs didn't exist, I would say we're about to enter at least a 1 to 2 week correction downtrend with a lot of sideways. That's what the charts look like to me, especially after going straight up for so long. It makes sense if that would happen. If we got more of a sustained pullback, will the Bitcoin spot ETF buying pressure ease up and allow that to happen? Nobody knows. But ultimately, I think 65 is like as I said, basically coming down here is like the minimum requirement of getting a pullback. And we kind of have gotten that. Not quite down to the 21-day moving average, but pretty much. So I guess we could say we got that. I would honestly like it to go a little bit lower to say that. On the weekly chart for Bitcoin, massive support around 58,000. It's where all the biggest clump of accumulated volume is so far, basically at this point, is around 58,000 to the downside. If I would have to say the absolute lowest in a very flash crash wick situation that I think Bitcoin could go in a prolonged, I'm not even talking about like in a daily chart, I'm talking about at least a 1 to 2 week correction. So this would have to be more prolonged. In a wick, I think Bitcoin could get down slightly below 50,000 US dollars in a worst case scenario in terms of a pullback. Before then, what I would think would be a mega boing, right? Now, that's not my base case. Like, that's not what I absolutely think is going to happen. In fact, we have not even gotten this daily close. So it is so premature to say that this is going to turn into a much bigger dump. But if I'm being honest, looking at these charts, if we just look at the charts, to me, it looks like, yes, this could easily turn into another period like this, where we see sideways trading, sideways accumulation, and potentially even, slight dumpage here. Now, it's still so early on into this pullback. It's literally like the second day of red. It's crazy to say that, because if we're also being realistic, this could get bought up or just trade around this range for the next couple days, especially if we go into the weekend, which has weaker price action, boring price action. Bitcoin spot ETFs are not trading, stuff like that. And then we could boing as the week starts, right? That could absolutely happen too. But I just personally think that the way the chart's showing right now, we really have to see a strong daily close. And if we don't, this very easily looks like it could turn into like I keep saying, a 1 to 2 week correction, which, how would I be viewing that? Absolutely as a buying opportunity. I'd be absolutely entering long positions there. I personally think that this market is so overdue for a correction, and it could happen in a day. We could have a massive flash crash in a day. I'm talking even bigger than what we've seen, right? So far, we're down about 11%. If we would come down about 20% even from that recent high, that's 55,000 US dollars. And as I said, we could have a dump all the way down to 48. I said slightly below 50, around 48, 49,000, right? Maybe even retest this level in a quick wick, even come down 30% over the next week or so. That is a realistic and healthy price projection for Bitcoin. This could absolutely be realistic, and it wouldn't be bad. And I personally would rather get this out of the way before the halving, because the markets, as I always say, the markets do not go up forever. And every time we get a healthy pullback in the bull market, that and then enables us to go higher. So basically, the way I'm looking at this, the lower we go, the more spring loaded the bounce will be. And so this is an okay correction, right? It's an okay dump. It's really not, it's not that much. If you really zoom out, look at a weekly chart, guys. This is not that much of a correction, right? I'm saying like a healthy, realistic correction over 1 to 2 weeks could even look something like this. Something like that. That could be a healthy correction. In fact, that's literally what a healthy correction looks like in this bull market, or in any market, bull or bear for Bitcoin, especially bull. This is what a healthy correction looks like. Maybe not straight down, but maybe like this over the next few weeks. I personally do not think that's the number one most likely scenario, but I'm just trying to prepare you that if something like that would happen, I think that the juice that would then be able to be let loose to the upside would be ginormous. Okay. Mainly though, as I said at the beginning of the video, we want to see this weekly close in 2 days above 69,000. Nice. Above the, I mean, we already did get a close above, was this weekly close? Yeah, this weekly close was the highest weekly close we ever had, last week's weekly close. So yeah, ultimately, this could end up being, right? This could end up being, I want to actually draw this on here because I just spent so much time talking about a pullback, right? And what that would look like. And it could end up just being something more like this. This is also just as realistic, if I'm being honest. Maybe we just have, we trade around 65, maybe even going down to 60, around that area. I just personally think, and I personally would prefer, not like it matters, but I would prefer if we actually go a little bit lower and we actually reset more of this momentum, which will enable us then to kind of be perfectly timed. The halving is only about a month away. So if we have a correction for the next 1 to 2 weeks and really reset so much momentum, then I think that'll really boing us into the halving, and that could get really exciting. So in my opinion, the lower we go, we have seen Bitcoin have a decent drop, not horrible, really nothing that crazy, but I personally want to see if the ETFs will allow us to have one of those massive moves that I've talked about a lot in this video. And get signed up to FEMEX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Without any further ado,